Hi, in today's video, I want to take a look at filtering images within your gallery. It was a question in the Bricks community, and my first thought was build this with the new Bricks filter search component that they have. I know it's experimental, but I just wanted to see if it could be done and how easy it was to use it. So let's have a look. Using this, my first thought was we're going to need some way of organizing the images. So my first thought here was Happy Files, which is a plugin, but a lot of people that got Bricks have probably got Happy Files. So let's see if it can be done with that first. So let's get rid of this. This is the actual question, but we don't need to see that anymore. So let's get rid of that. Let's add a section. And let's add a block within that section that's going to hold the image. And now let's add an image. I basically want to loop through the images that are in folders in Happy Files. Let's look at what I've actually set up in Happy Files first. So what I've done is set up 5 new folders of different types of animals and put the images within that. Right, so let's go back to the Bricks Builder. On images, we are going to loop on this block. Let's call this gallery. Now let's look at the query loop. So let's go to gallery, click on query loop, click on query. We want to query posts and media, order by random, and then we are going to include the terms of the birds folder, the cats folder, the dogs folder, the fish folder, and I believe the reptiles folder. Right, now none of the images are showing up, but I think what we need to do here is go to image and select the dynamic ID of post ID. Right, so if we save that, quickly look at the front and load it in. Yep, all the images are there. Yeah, it's loading in all of the images. It doesn't look good at the moment, so let's just quickly, I know I should be using classes for this, but I'm just experimenting. So let's make this a grid of 4. That looks fine. Let's check this out on the front end. Save this. Let's again check this out on the front end. So about this. Don't know why, but it's definitely working here. So let's just carry on. That was a mistake, a rookie mistake by myself here. We actually want the grid on the container. Yes. So now the grid's working, let's make the image fit the blocks. So yeah, let's make sure it's cover, and then we will need a height of 100% and a width of 100% just to make sure. So let's check this out on the front end. Yep, we now have a grid of images. Doesn't look like it's showing all of the images. So let's look at the gallery. Number of posts, that's 10. So if we do that as -1, that will now show all of the images within the folder. Yep, that looks good. So now what we can do is tackle the filtering. So I think what we need to do here is add another container. I don't know why it didn't add that. Let's add another container. Move that to the top. And within this container, we are going to add a filter. So let's add a filter. Now I know from playing with this before, we actually need a radio button. And we need to target the gallery, apply on input because we don't want to have to submit a button to filter it. Action is going to be filter. Source is going to be taxonomy. And the taxonomy is going to be folder. The bricks folder's here. Right. That looks good there. We want to hide empty because we only want to show the ones that have got something in. Label for all of them. And we don't want a radio button, we actually want it as a button. Size can be default, style can be default. For now, let's have a look. Let's check that out on the front end and let's see what that's done to it. So now we have a filter. And that appears to be working. Right. Let's see if we can make this look just a little bit better. So let's go back to the filters. And it is button, style, dark, and let's make it outline. And then button active. Let's see if we can change the way it looks when it's active. So let's click on save. In fact, let's just center the buttons there as well. Click save. Go back, refresh the front page. Yep, that looks pretty good. The only thing I would say is that in the Bricks community, it had a masonry layout. Now, without extra plugins, I don't think we can do a masonry layout. And also, there seems to be a bit of an issue with spacing for the buttons. First thing, let's tackle the masonry layout. If we have ACSS installed, which I do, masonry layout is very easy. We can just basically type in masonry, and let's say we want it as a 4-column grid. Oh, yes, that would be perfect if I actually put it on the right container. Masonry 4. So that overrides what we've done for the grid, and it uses CSS columns, I believe. So let's check that out on the front page. We now have a masonry layout, but we still have an issue with the spacing. From what I can work out, this seems to be an issue with the actual filter search component. It's the hidden elements. So if we go back to the filter and if we say hide empty is off and go back, all of them are spaced out lovely. It seems to be retaining the 10 pixel gap for the ones that aren't there. as you can see, there's so I think that's something that may be sorted in the future, may not be, but it is a bit of an issue. I mean, if you've only got the folders for the images that you're going to use and there's no other folders that you're using, then this wouldn't be a problem and you could use it as is, and you've got a nice filterable gallery that you can add more images to, or the client can add more images to, all fine and dandy. But it doesn't really work for me as it is like this. So I had to think about this and I thought, well, why don't we use a taxonomy for the images? So you can use any plugin that allows you to create a taxonomy. I've got ACSS Pro. You can use the free version for this. And what you can do is go to ACF, go to taxonomies, and create a taxonomy. I called it genres for some reason. I have no idea why I called it that. It's probably not the best name for this. So if we open the genres to see how I set it up, basically singular label, genre, taxonomy key, genre, and then just make sure that the post type is media. That's really all you have to do. And then when you go to media, you now have genres showing up here, and I've added birds, cats, dogs, fish, reptiles, so that when we look into the library, and we look at any of the images, what you then have to do, you go through to the genres and tell it which genre it belongs to. So do that and click update. I've gone through and previously done all of this. So let's go back to the gallery, duplicate this section, and then hide the element. I can never remember how to do that. So, right. What we're going to do now is a different query loop. Pretty much exactly the same setup as we've got, but let's change the query loop. We are now going to query a term, select the taxonomy. We are going to select genre. Unfortunately, we can't order this by random. Terms include, let's include the birds, cats, dogs, fish, reptiles, and let's see if that's worked. Let's go to the front end. That doesn't look like it's going to work, does it? And it hasn't. So where have we gone wrong? Genres. And what we need to do now is to duplicate the section. Go down here. Let's look at the query loop. And change this from the folders for the happy files. Let's now put in the genres for the taxonomies. So cats, birds, dogs, genres, fish, and reptiles. So let's do that. Have a look on the front end. As you can see, looks pretty much the same. But obviously the filter's not working because we haven't told it to look at the new gallery. So target query is the second gallery. Probably should rename that. In fact, let's do this. Gallery 2. Yeah, so that's gallery 2. Click Save. Right, that's not showing the correct thing, so let's have a look. Let's see what we've done wrong here. Source is taxonomy, but it's not folder, it is genres. So we need to point it to the correct taxonomy there. That looks much better. Let's check that out on the front end. Yep, so pretty much the same gallery, only these are now all nicely spaced out. And seems to be working pretty well. The client can add an image and put it to the right category, and it will show up in this gallery here, no problem. I think that solves pretty much all of the things asked for, really, in the question. I mean, we could look at the different types of filters that are available, because you've not just got the checkbox, you've also got a select range. So if you click on the select, target to, apply on input, action filter, source, taxonomy. Taxonomy is genres. If we have a look at that, so we have a different way of filtering it here. So if this was some kind of WooCommerce situation, you can see that this could work really well here. That works really good. And you've got all. That works fine there. And let me see, what else do we have? We have, just doing a search for filter. Date wouldn't really work here. Range wouldn't work. So checkbox would be the next one we could look at here. So let's look at the checkbox. Let's target gallery 2. Apply on input. Source is taxonomy. The taxonomy is genres. Let's have a look at that on the front end. As you can see, checkbox, but the good thing with checkboxes is that you can select more than one. So you can have birds and dogs. So that could be pretty useful. Cats. Yep, that looks pretty good. The only thing is it does look a little odd. If it was a product gallery and it was to the left, and it would work fine. But if you wanted to do it in a situation like this, you'd probably have to do some CSS for this. And I think I've actually tried this and done a little bit of CSS. So let's delete the select box. Let's leave the radio for there because I want to keep that. In fact, let's delete that whole section because I think this way works much better. And as you can see, using the CSS, you've got it going across. Simple CSS, just display flex and increase the margin. But this way, if you wanted to, you can have it so that it can choose more than one category. Whereas with the other filter, you can only choose one at a time, the radio checkbox. That's what I was trying to think of. Slipped my mind for a moment there. I hope that this is useful and somebody may use it. I know it's experimental, but, you know, a couple of months down the line, this may be fine and everybody can use it. And this gives you an idea of how you can use it for galleries. I hope you found this useful. If you have, like and subscribe. Leave me any comments of anything else you would like to try and build. Thanks.